character. And the idea is that we have this Bible, and we learn it, we read from it. But one of the key things the Bible teaches us is that character matters. It's not just enough to read the Word of God, we have to do the Word of God. And who we are matters to God because we reflect His presence to the world, we reflect His presence to other people. And we're called to be not just people who believe, but people who do the Word of God. And so much of that has to do with character. And we're talking about the 4 key virtues, the 4 cardinal virtues, and today we're going to be looking at courage. And of course, the first sermon we looked at all these flow out of God's command to love. So today we're going to be looking at courage, and I invite you to look with me at 1 Kings 11, 1 Kings 11, verse 26, which is their page number is there. We've been looking at Solomon, Rehoboam, his son, and now we're going to look at Jeroboam. Jeroboam was, of course, the first king of the northern kingdom of Israel. If you're not familiar with a lot of these details in the Bible, just kind of let them wash over you and hang on, because we're going to talk about courage. So just you don't have to know everything. There's some details in here, but just hang on and stick with us and see what sticks, and we'll see what God speaks to our heart. So I'd like to read from 1 Kings 11, verse 26. Also, Jeroboam, son of Nebat, rebelled against the king. He was one of Solomon's officials, an Ephraimite from Zeruiah, and his mother was a widow named Zeruiah. Here is the account of how he rebelled against the king. Solomon had built the supporting terraces and had filled the gap in the wall of the city of David, his father. Now Jeroboam was a man of standing, and when Solomon saw how well the young man did his work, he put him in charge of the whole labor force of the house of Joseph. About that time, Jeroboam was going out of Jerusalem, and Ahijah, the prophet of Shiloh, met him on the way, wearing a new cloak. The two of them were alone out in the country, and Ahijah took hold of the new cloak he was wearing and tore it into 12 pieces. Then he said to Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes. For the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have 1 tribe. I will do this because they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Shemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites, and have not walked in my ways, nor done what is right in my eyes, nor kept my statutes and laws as David, Solomon's father, did. But I will not take the whole kingdom out of David, Solomon's hand. I have made him ruler all the days of his life for the sake of David my servant, whom I chose, and who observed my commands and statutes. I will take the kingdom from his son's hands and give you 10 tribes. I will give 1 tribe to his son, so that David my servant may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city where I chose to put my name. However, as for you, I will take you, and you will rule over all that your heart desires. You will be king over all Israel, if you do whatever I command you and walk in my ways and do what is right in my eyes by keeping my statutes and commands as David my servant did. I will be with you. I will build you a dynasty as enduring the one I built for David, and will give Israel to you. I will humble David's descendants because of this, but not forever." Solomon tried to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam fled to Egypt to Shishak, the king, and stayed there until Solomon's death. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So, I don't remember the movie Braveheart. Anybody seen the movie Braveheart 20 years ago? Not too many, but... Okay, so Braveheart, Mel Gibson, who has since kind of disgraced himself, but Mel Gibson is in this movie, and he portrays William Wallace, who was a reformer, a warrior reformer in Scotland, fought against the tyranny of the English government at that time. And so William Wallace is in prison cell, some nasty prison cell there in England or wherever. And the woman of the movie comes to him and says, you can't die, because they're going to execute him in the morning, and she's trying to figure out some way to save him. And he says to her this, he says, every man dies, but not every man truly lives. That's what he says in that great Scottish accent. Now, you don't need a Scottish accent, but it does help. He says, every man dies, but not every man truly lives. And the whole thing about that is courage. Not only courage on the battlefield, but courage to face death. Courage to know that life is what matters, and how we're living life is what matters, and not necessarily the fact that we're going to die, because every single person dies. Really, that's all about courage. And so today we're going to look at courage from this Old Testament text of Jeroboam. And I think Jeroboam, did he have courage? Did he not? And it turns out he lacked courage in one key, important way. And so to get into that, I just want to review Jeroboam's story. Solomon, remember, Solomon basically enslaved a lot of Israel, and he was in charge of the house of Joseph. So Manasseh and Ephraim, he was in charge of that tribe, those two tribes. And Ephraim, as you may or may not know, was one of the leading tribes in the northern kingdom. It was a big tribe. This is the northern kingdom, and so Ephraim was around here. It was a big tribe. Actually, the northern kingdom was eventually referred to as Ephraim. So that was who he was that way. So anyway, he at one point was walking outside of the city of Jerusalem, and he's just minding his own business with this prophet named Ahijah comes to him with a new cloak on. Now, I think, yeah, a new cloak. We have clothes or a dime a dozen, right? You can go down to a nice price and get as many as you want. But a new cloak there, that's got to be made by hand. It's an expensive thing. It probably lasts for 3 or 4 years. You didn't rip up new clothes, but that's what Ahijah did. I guess God told him to, so he did. So he's out there ripping up this new cloak, and of course it's probably full of some sort or other, so it probably took a while. Not sure how he did it. But he eventually had 10 pieces and gave it to Jeroboam and said, here's what the Lord says. I'm going to rip Israel up and give you 10 pieces, and you're going to rule over it. You're going to be king because Solomon has left me, and he has worshipped many other gods, Shemot, Moloch, Ashtoreth. He's left me and left all Israel to do a bunch of dysfunctional things, and now I'm going to tear the kingdom away from him and give it to you. Now, it says Jeroboam's alone, but for some reason, he probably was overwhelmed by the idea, so he told some people, and they told other people, and eventually Solomon found out. As any good ancient king would do, he tried to kill Jeroboam. Jeroboam didn't want to die, so he went down to Egypt, and lived there under Shishak. Until the story happened that we talked about last week, where Rehoboam became king, and they called Jeroboam back up to Israel to confront Rehoboam. I want to ask you to imagine with me Jeroboam down in Egypt. He had been told by a prophet that he was going to be the king in Israel. But it didn't seem to work out that way. At some point, he's living down in Egypt, and maybe even have those 10 pieces of cloths yet floating on the float. And maybe at some point, he's looking at the cloths in his hand, he's thinking, well, what happened? God told me I was going to be king. And here I am in Egypt, foreign land, I don't have my position, I don't have my income, I don't have my status, I don't have my job. I'm living here in a foreign land, eating probably foreign food, not enjoying life at all. And I don't know about Jeroboam, but it seems like he could have very well accumulated a fair number of wounds from this experience. From Solomon, his former boss and king, kicking him out, trying to kill him. I mean, he probably could have kept his mouth shut. But anyway, that probably was not good, losing everything. I don't know if he became a wounded man, but it's very possible to see that he likely became a wounded man. Maybe the fact that he didn't have a father played into this, I don't know. In any case, he didn't ever learn to trust God, his father, and he was wounded. Now, I want to ask you a question this morning, and I want us to make an observation. We haven't been told we're going to be rulers. We haven't been living in Egypt, but all of us have been wounded. And imagine with me your own life and think, have I ever had a dream that God put in my heart, and then for some reason it didn't come out that way? Maybe we were in a relationship, and we thought it was exactly where God was going, but that relationship fell apart. Maybe we're in a marriage, and that marriage fell apart. Maybe it was our fault, maybe it was someone else's fault, who knows? Maybe we had a career path all planned out, we went to school, we had the diploma, we even had a job, maybe we had our own business, but all of a sudden, one way or another, life just fell apart. And then we are sitting maybe with even mementos, the tools, the diploma, the marriage certificate, the ring, looking at it going, okay, God, what on earth are you doing with my life? Where are things going? When those things happen, we get wounds. And all of this happens. I have them. You have them. All of us have these things happen in our life. And it wounds us. I don't know about Jeroboam, because the text doesn't actually say about Jeroboam. But the likelihood is that he at some point had these same feelings that all of us have. What happened with my life? Well, that story goes on, and we know that Jeroboam became king. He was called up, he became king, but there he is as king, and now he has a very particular problem. Because he knows that Rehoboam was king in Judah, down in Jerusalem. And he knows that by the religious requirements of the law, everybody in Israel, so all the northern tribes, have to go down to Judah to worship 3 times a year, minimum, probably more. So he knows that 3 times a year, or maybe more, what's going to eventually happen to me is they're going to kill me and follow Rehoboam. He remembers Rehoboam's father, Solomon. He remembers what happened. He said, this is just not a good scenario. What am I going to do? And in this passage here, 1 Kings 12, it outlines what happens. Jeroboam consults with some people, apparently the wrong people, but he consults with some people. And he says, you know what, we're going to make an alternative worship system. We're going to have new priests. We're going to have a golden calf. We're going to put a golden calf away in the north of Israel, and we're going to put a golden calf away in the south of Israel. And he says to all the people of the northern part of Israel, says, this is your God. These are your gods, the gods who brought you out of Egypt. And I like this picture because it's totally unrealistic. It's a Renaissance picture. There are all white folk in this picture. They're not Hebrew. And the calf is actually a cow. And I think this is done in jest because if you look at the close-up of the cow is sitting there going, I don't think this is such a good idea to worship. It's a great picture. It's not a calf. It's totally unrealistic. But it's funny because the cow is like, what are you doing? So anyway, but Jeroboam somehow doesn't see the foolishness of this. And I want to point out a couple things, really. One is that for us, it's really obvious that this is not what Jeroboam should have done. It's really obvious. Like, you don't worship calves. But for him, and for the people of the northern kingdom of Israel, it seemed to be just a subtle shift. I mean, he had to protect himself from this southern kingdom. He had to protect himself from people leaving him. And so it seems like somehow he justified saying, these are your gods. And it's evident because Jehu, who was a reformer in the northern kingdom, he basically wiped out Jeroboam's family. He didn't take away these calves. He somehow saw these calves as representative of the true God. So somehow, even though it looks crazy to us, somehow what these people did is just made a subtle shift in their own mind. And I have a friend, Kevin Harney, who talks about a 2-degree adjustment. This was probably more than that. But a 2-degree adjustment is pretty significant because it doesn't seem like much because this is where God's supposed to do, this is where God's telling me that's what I'm supposed to do. But I can't quite do that because that involves risk and I don't quite know how to do it, so I'll just go like this. Just go 2 degrees. And what you see is if you're taking a walk and you get off 2 degrees, you're getting up in a very, very different spot a long ways down the road. In the same way with time. If you make a 2-degree adjustment in your actions, in our actions, and in Jeroboam's actions, it ends up in a very, very different spot. And as you see, as you read through the book of 1 Kings, the whole northern kingdom of Israel was eventually wiped out because they got worse and worse and worse and followed other gods time and time again. And this was where they started. Somehow they justified this. But it turns out it wasn't such a good idea. So let's trace Jeroboam a little bit. He makes a 2-degree adjustment. Why does he do that? Because he lacks courage. He lacks courage to do what God has told him to do. He probably, this is psychoanalyzing the text a little bit, but he probably never learned to trust God. I've talked many times over the last year how if we don't ever have a Father who we can trust, it's really hard to trust our Father God. We have to do some very intentional rewiring in our head. And Jeroboam likely didn't do it. He also didn't trust the king. He didn't trust Solomon. And for some reason or another, he never learned to trust God that what God said is true. If we follow it, that's where we find blessings. Not making 2-degree or 10-degree or 180-degree adjustments. Ultimately, this is possibly from his wounds. Now, we don't know that. But we do know that we have wounds. We do know that we have experienced things that are incredibly hurtful. We know that we've experienced disappointment. By the way, if you're young and haven't experienced disappointment yet, you will. It's part of life. Life doesn't always work out like we planned. Because we have wounds, we don't learn trust. We may trust God in 23 areas, but there's always 2 or 3 or 10 or 23 other areas where we don't trust God. We may trust God for academics, but we don't trust Him with our social life. We may trust God with work, but we don't trust Him with our entertainment. We may trust Him with our finances, but we don't trust Him with our food. There's all sorts of ways that we don't trust God. Myself, all of us. Really, this is about courage. And normally we think about courage being the big things, the going into battle, the sacrificing our body, but the courage is also found in the little things. Because of that, we make 2-degree adjustments. So I just want to focus on courage a little bit. I'll skip this. I want to focus about courage a little bit because courage is really just simple steadiness in the face of danger. It's a thing that's created in the mind. We think of courage in terms of actions and William Wallace type stuff, but really courage is follow him. And this may be at work, this may be to rescue someone, this may be simply to stay engaged in relationships, this may be to persevere in difficult times. It's simply, if we get it straight in our mind, we can live it out with our actions. Incidentally, if you look at the text, and that was that verse I said, if you look at the text, what the text says, God says to Jeroboam that he's going to bless him, he's going to rule over everything he desires. He said, I'm going to give you a dynasty as great as David's. And it seems like Jeroboam could have looked at the model of David and said, you know what? David didn't get his whole kingdom either. When David became king, he ruled the southern two tribes for like 7 years, and then he eventually ruled over all the tribes of Israel. And Jeroboam probably could have figured out that if I do what God said, if I obey him even though it's incredibly scary, if I let my people go to the southern kingdom of Israel, God more than likely would have worked it out. And maybe the influence would have went the other way. Maybe Jeroboam would have ended up ruling over all of Israel. The text actually says that he's going to rule over all of Israel, but because he didn't do what God said, we never know. I find it interesting, because Jeroboam disobeyed God, we don't know him as a great king. Really, all we know is that he built 2 funky-looking calves and told Israel to worship him. That's all we know. Not much. Here's the New Testament text. This is about us. Because Christ's love compels us. Christ's love compels us because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And he died for all. Those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. So as we think about Jeroboam, as we think about courage abstractly, the challenge is all of a sudden to look at the cross. Because we look at the cross, we also realize that Jesus displayed incredible courage. He faced death, knowing that he would die. And he very specifically gave up his own will to the Father. Said, not my will, but your will be done. Said, even if this kills me, and it did, I will be faithful to what you were asking me to do. And because of that, we all have life. So God isn't asking us to do something that he himself hasn't done. He's simply asking us to follow Jesus. And here's what the power of some of those phrases that we just have in our mind all the time. We're supposed to follow Jesus, right? We're supposed to be like him. He's supposed to be in us. We're supposed to be in him. We're supposed to reflect the image of God. But one element that we may think about that often is the call to be courageous, even in the face of overwhelming danger. The fact of the matter is that probably most of us aren't going to be called to actually die physically, but if you follow Jesus, you will have to die for yourself time and time again, and it will feel like death. It will feel like death. But the beautiful thing is that resurrection isn't just for the future, isn't just when we die literally and come back to life. Resurrection is now. So even if we die to ourselves now, time and time again, we rise in Christ to experience life that we never dreamed was possible. And of course he says this, he says, he who gives up his life will find it. If you lose your life for my sake, you'll find it. It says that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. The fact of the matter is that Jeroboam wasn't called to be king of the northern kingdom for his own sake. He was called to be king of the northern kingdom because God wanted the northern kingdom to follow him instead of these other gods. The next verses here, I skipped a few, says this: we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, so God will make his appeal to us. We may have to die to actually be this, but that's the challenge, to display courage in the face of potential danger, potential destruction. And when we do, God can work through us in ways that are truly remarkable. And you may think, well, how am I called? What am I called to do? How am I called to be courageous? Think for a minute. How are you called? Most of you probably know almost instantaneously. Because you have challenges in your life, and the temptation is really strong to just deflect your actions a little bit to the right or to the left so you can be preserved. To not do what God's calling you to do simply because it's easier. But the challenge is to be courageous and press on what God is calling you to do, and that may You maybe have the courage to talk to your friends about things that are spiritual where you really don't do that. Somebody told me a great story this week about where they're doing that. Remember this church? It's amazing. I don't know where God is calling you to be courageous. But I know God is calling you to be courageous. We're all uniquely called, and we all have unique obstacles of trust and courage to overcome, so it's all different. But God is calling you to be courageous in Him, modeled by Him, so that we can be ambassadors of Him. So Bob Goff, he's a guy that wrote a book called Love Does, and this whole really awesome movement of Christianity talks about how love is important as part of Christianity. We all know that, right? But what he says is love is a thing that is followed up with actions. And he wrote this book called Love Does, I think. And there's a bunch more like it. We pass it out here whenever we get a chance. And Christy Potter just told me yesterday that he's coming to a January series in January. So what's the date on that?
January 10th.
January 10th. So just a great guy. But he has this emphasis that love does. But as part of this emphasis, the reality is that doing what love requires takes a lot of courage. So he says this: courage doesn't mean that we're not afraid anymore, because we all have fears. This is all present in our mind. It just means that our actions aren't controlled by our doubts. It would have taken a lot of courage for Jeroboam to press forward. He wouldn't have gotten rid of those doubts. But if he did, he would have been displaying courage, and God would have blessed him in ways that we'll never know. Here's a passage in Acts 17. I've got to tell you a story about this passage. Because Tuesday morning I had one of those dreams, and it wasn't really one of those God dreams, it was one of those dreams that sort of takes all my insecurities and wraps them up in a nice picture format and presents them to me in Technicolor right in front of my eyes. You ever have those dreams? You wake up and like, oh my goodness. No one has those dreams except me, apparently. Anyway, so this dream was about another church where everything's 100% better in the dream. But their worship was just off the hook every week, just totally anointed. Preaching was artful and powerful, and people just like, oh, it's such great stuff every week. And the fellowship, of course, was just totally pure. Everybody loved each other perfectly because everyone was perfect in this dream anyway. Outreach was just on popping. I mean, people were coming to Christ, and just diversity was fabulous. And I woke up feeling about that big. Because I'm me. And we're us. And we're broken people on a journey and experiencing God, things that only God can do, but we're us. And that morning as I woke up in just my mental state, because I woke up with this dream in my mind, this other place was just amazing, and we were like sub-zero, destined for obscurity and ineffectiveness. It was not good. And I thought, well, you know where the dream's from, right? You know that these are insecurities that pop up. And so I prayed for a little bit. It was Tuesday morning, so we have prayer here at 6:30 on Tuesday morning. And I came over, and as we prayed, I looked through Scripture, and time again, it just popped in my mind how each person in Scripture, each group of people in Scripture, was anointed, was placed there at a particular time, in a particular place, for a particular purpose that no one else was called to do. And they were called to do what they're called to do, and not what other people are called to do. And that provided some encouragement that, hey, we're a unique church, we're unique people, called to do what we're called to do here in this place. And then I actually came across this verse, which I've never really seen before. It's one of Paul's sermons. He says this: from one man he made all nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and boundaries of their lands. And he's saying, look, God appointed us, each one of us, each one of you, each one of us, that have a particular time, not to be who someone else is, not to be as great as someone else is, not to live out someone else's calling, not to look as good or be as smart or be as powerful or to be as effective or be as kind or be as humble as someone else. God has called you and me to be who we are. God has called our family to be who we are. God has called our church to be who we are. And so the challenge here is to not live into someone else's calling. Marcia had this article open on her computer this week. I don't even think I told her this, but I sort of took the article and I'm using it here. So the top 5 regrets of the dying. There's a nurse over in Australia, I think, who interviewed people in hospice, essentially. And this was a top regret of people who were dying. They said, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. So often, the reason we deflect from what God has called us to do is because we get a vision in our mind of what everybody else is supposed to be, instead of a vision in our mind of what God has called us to be. And the simple challenge in this text, as we think about being Christ truth that life is not about survival. Because everything in our brain is wired to tell us that we have to survive. Above all else, we have to survive. And that's a good thing. It's a self-preservation instinct. But when it comes to following God, sometimes we have to realize that life is not about survival. It's not about us surviving. It's about us stepping into God's faithfulness. Years and years ago, I heard a message something like this from Bill Hybels. And I think it was from him. And I was proposing a lot of crazy things at the church I was at that time, mostly related to outreach. And I thought, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get marginalized. I'm going to get run right out of this church. And at some point, somehow this dropped into my head that I don't have to survive. And because of that, it gave me the courage to keep pressing in. And God used that. And God helped us move and change. But this is a lesson I continually need to remember. That I don't have to survive. We don't have to survive. And we do have to survive, but we don't have to survive. And if the choice is surviving and following God, the choice always has to be following God because He will protect us. He will guard us. He will guide us.